Boys and girls, welcome back. We're starting a new series today, something I know that everybody can get some use out of, but we're going to run on some steelhead bugs, some certain patterns. I talked to a buddy of mine that does a lot of fishing up in Erie, and he's kind of, along with a couple other friends, kind of giving me their top 10s, so to speak, if you want to call it that. And one pattern that we typically see is what's called sucker spawn. Suckers, which are a fish that you find in almost all PA streams, probably everywhere, I don't know for sure, but essentially when they spawn, the egg patterns have a specific type of a color, or not color, pattern. And what we're looking at here, this fly is called crystal meth. It acts just like meth does on humans, and the fish, react accordingly. But essentially, what we're doing is with this pattern that I use, I always have a bead on here. This is a 3mm bead, but what we have here on the top is some diamond braid. Now, if you've ever used diamond braid, it comes in a multitude of ways. This is, the standard non-core micro braid, or not micro braid, diamond braid. This is the orange that we're using here today. The bead that I have on here is called True Blood. That's the one I typically use on all my egg patterns. The hook that we got, size 12, 50-65. And the thread that we're using here, Nano Silk red. It's not really red, it's more of a light pink, but there you go. Okay, this is the type of pattern that what we're trying to create here. All these little bumps are eggs, as opposed to a single egg that you see like salmon eggs or trout eggs. Sucker spawn eggs are much smaller and usually come in a group like this. So, as they're floating in the water, sometimes you pick different materials and you get different types of movement. So, to go through some, examples as far as what we're looking at here, we can show you a couple different things. One of the most popular patterns that you're going to find out there, sucker spawn patterns, is Jeff Blood's Blood Dot. I picked this one as an example. What we're using to tie this is some foam, and essentially it comes out in a pretty big pack, long strips, and you're more or less taking this strip and splitting it. So just to show you some sizing, which is usually the issue with this bug, I tied this one with half of a strand, and essentially, the next one I tied is just with a quarter of this or less. So depending on the size hook that you want, this is a size 12, and you can obviously see there's a lot of material on there. The nice thing is that when you tie it on, you leave the underside open. Most times you're going to see a contrasting type color, that you get against the color of the egg. This one's a little bit more normal sized. This is the one that I tied with a quarter of one of those foam strips. You can see the underside is usually red, a red thread. I used a regular red thread on this one, but the way that I've seen them most times is you're gonna have 3 bumps going up, a center piece that you have here, and then 3 bumps going down, towards the eye of the hook. Now my buddy, he fishes with a a float, and he just slays them up there on these things. So he doesn't like he doesn't put any weight on his actual bug. You know, he's putting split shot on, and he's got a system that works, and it is impressive. So another type of material that we can use is like this one. Now this is diamond braid, and you can see all the little bubbles and loops and stuff in there. That's kind of what you want. These are the midge size. I think I used the fluorescent pink in this one and this one. So you can mix the two colors together to get a different type of an effect. You're just going to have double the amount of loops. Another type of diamond braid that you can try, this is a gold one. You can definitely see that those are more full. They're taking up a little bit more space on the hook, and there's just a ton of little loose wraps in there. I like the smaller stuff better for this crystal meth, just to, you know, give it a little bit of movement. You know, this diamond braid has a core in it. It's still a micro braid, you know, similar to those other ones I have, but this one actually has a core in it, and you can see how full, you know, that makes it. So just another look, another way to go about it. But the traditional one that we typically see is going to be tied like this, and that's what we're going to do today. So when we get our hooks, you know, there's a pattern that you can go up, and I'll walk you through all of those steps, you know, as we're going down the line here. So let's get a hook and a vise. Get this started. All of these bugs in the series are pretty simple to tie. We're gonna do like an egg pattern, you know, here today. Obviously, that's what crystal meth is, and you know, then we're gonna do some fun stuff towards the end of the series here. I haven't decided whether I'm gonna do 3 or 4 bugs, but all right. When we're getting this on here, where you stop your string is usually a mark. Like, you do not want to take this down into the bend, okay? I know we're pulling the majority of this material above the hook, and that's kind of the trick. But the further you go down the hook, obviously with steelhead, they're a big fish, you know, so you need to make sure that you have a good gap in there. This is a size 12, which I found is fine for steelhead, but a lot of guys go bigger and heavier on their hooks. I don't get too many trips up there, so I'm just kind of making do with what I got. But when we pick, you know, our diamond braid out, I would say, you know, 8 or 9 inches, you know, worth of diamond braid. And what you're going to do is fold it in half. Make sure your tips are aligned. Okay, we're going to tie this on the back of the hook so that we don't have to trim any excess. I put this on pretty tight through here just to try to create a little bit of color contrast. You don't see it too much. I was kind of expecting this red nano silk to be a little brighter, but it's not. So we're gonna make do. So now you got your big loop up like this. The technique that we're using, the way I learned it was take your bodkin, stick it under the thing here, and then just pinch it on the side like that. Okay, where you're pinching it on the hook. You want to make sure, like I said, that it's on top of the hook. You put 1 or 2 wraps on that side, and then you're going to pull it back and kind of back wrap a little bit because you want these loops to be tight. Next bump, I always try, I know this is just a preference thing, but I always try to keep my excess material on my side of the hook. Mostly because when you pull this tight, it wants to roll over the other side, and if you leave it on the other side, it'll tend to roll around the hook a bit and you know, just get tangled up in your bobbin. So as we're going up, you can see what I'm doing here, maybe a 1/2 inch. All I'm doing is pushing it back and pinching it with my left hand, putting a wrap over that, pulling straight down to secure it. Just make sure that you have your bumps going bigger up to the middle. And then once you get a wrap or 2 to secure that loop to the hook, pull your stuff back. Now there's about 1,000,000 variations of this bug pattern. You can dress it up however you want, but I try, I don't know why, but all the patterns you see online, it has like an odd number of bumps, you know, like I was saying, 3 on one side, 3 on the other, and then a center post. We're not having a center post with this color, but you know, you can tie it up that way if you want. Sometimes I just try to fit in as many of these as I can, especially once I get up towards the head, or the bead rather. See all that space we got in there? Why not put another one, right? Might as well. And I put the perfect amount on that one. Then I got a loop at the end. Okay. You can feel it start to get a little bit tighter in there. And then I'm just gonna finish this off by trying to secure that bead a little bit. Okay, there you go. Now for some grooming, I just try to push those little loops, you know, away from each other so that it takes up a little bit more volume. And there you go. That is the crystal meth. You can change the color, tie different things, you know, oranges, purples, the little midge patterns that we tie, or that I tie. Try to get like a brown or a rust to create like something similar to this gold one. This one works really well. I don't know why. It doesn't look like an egg so much, but yeah, mess around with it. Use multiple colors instead of creating a loop of one color. You know, try 2 different colors together. And so you'll be, if I did orange and purple, I'd have one side that would be orange and the other side would be purple, just depending on how they're laying on the hook. Something that you see a lot of guys do, they'll come in and they'll coat this underside with some super glue. You can if you want. Usually when you're fishing steelhead, you're losing a lot of flies. Either getting hung up on the bottom, getting hung up on somebody else, or just, you know, fish breaking them off. So I don't spend a lot of time, or I don't put a lot of effort and time into tying a lot of these crystal meths. or those blood dots, or anything similar like that. I just want it quick and easy, just because you're gonna lose them. The same thing with my egg patterns. You're bouncing them along the bottom. You're always gonna get hung up on stuff, and to spend a lot of time trying to make this particular bug pretty, I don't know, it doesn't really fall into my wheelhouse so much. So weigh it, see how you like it, try some different colors. We're going to be coming back here over the next couple weeks with a couple neat patterns, and again, lots of examples, because with steelhead, usually it's sucker spawn, usually it's egg patterns, and then you get into a whole slew of things that people can get into, as far as using pheasant tails, typical bugs we're using for trout. That's all it is. It's just a big trout. So they're going to be finding the same things in the creeks that trout are eating, that we see not on, the Great Lakes. So try 'em, go catch some fish. Water temperatures are getting down. I haven't seen any eggs in the water yet, but I am seeing lots of trout nests. Yeah, go catch them. It's getting close. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you soon.